In this video, I'm going to share with you why being humble comes easy to me. If you're new to my channel, in 2014, I tried to exit this reality only to have Archangel Michael appear and show me that was no longer an option. This was 1 year after losing my mom to cancer. I was 33 years old, had a sudden spiritual awakening, and I realized that I'd spent the last 15 years drowning out my reality with alcohol because I had so much unhealed childhood trauma and this new hole in my chest that I found after losing my mom 3 months before my son was born sent me to an all-time low, you could say. 13 months later, I came to the conclusion that I was so damaged and so broken and so lacking the energy and will to continue that if I left this place, my wife would inherit our $1 million house. She would meet someone new that was capable of raising my son better than I was. And so I just figured that I'd be doing everyone a favor if I left this reality. And after Archangel Michael appeared and showed me that was no longer an option, I went on this healing journey that felt impossible. I felt like I was wasting my time. It took, it took 9 months after that, after going on a drinking bender, to get to the point where I was like, okay, I need to do some healing here. And that's when I got introduced to the spiritual community. That's a whole nother can of worms, but death spells, slander, black magic, people losing their lives from things being returned. And in 2020, after my divorce, I didn't want to be here more than in 2014, but Archangel Michael showed me that was no longer an option, and I felt that the only way to blow off all this anger, sadness, and grief was to take out my frustration on the beings that were responsible for asking me to come here. And that was when I hit an even lower all-time low. I remember one time going for a walk, picturing myself throwing spears made from lava in hell up at the clouds, right? And when I got home, I was so enraged that I just sat down, and I could hear one of my angels say to me, some of your angels are concerned that you've turned to the other side, basically. And I just felt this wave of rage flow through my body, and the next thing I know, I blinked and I was in the spirit realm, and I just seen myself as this black cloud of smoke, and this hand formed, and I reached through dimensions, and I grabbed this angel by the throat, and I started strangling him until Archangel Michael yelled at me to let him go. Shortly after that experience, my guides and angels decided to allow a fallen angel to attach to me for 18 hours, and that's when I got to experience what real hell felt like. And I was shown that that was the path I was headed down if I didn't change my perspective on things. And, it wasn't until the energy of Jesus came in and cleared this thing off of me that I was able to crawl up to bed and realize that I needed to let go of the anger and resentment that I had for incarnating into this reality. And in 2020, I remember I was just so broken. And that's when Jesus paid me a visit on October 20th, 2020, when I was having a shower at my old man's house. This soul came up to me, and my skin just started popping like popcorn, and all this unconditional love came over me. And that's when I had all these telepathic communications with Jesus. And he told me things like, I'll just quote, "It may have been Archangel Michael that day that saved you in your garage, but it was I who sent him." And for quite some time, none of this really made sense. I was like, why are all these things, happening to me? I was normal up until the age of 34. Then my life turned into a paranormal freak show. And that's when I had a visitation from Shiva in 2022. And at the time, I'd never heard about him, really. I've heard the name Shiva, but I didn't know anything about him. And after doing some research and having more visitations from Shiva, was shown that he is my higher self, and that is why I had all these interventions, I guess you could say. And so when it comes to being humble, when I look at how many times my angels, my guides have saved my life, it's like we have such a there's so many variables when it comes to this reality, and sometimes I think if it wasn't sometimes I just think if it wasn't for the protection we had on the other side, we might not be where we are today. And so just, you know, being grateful to my ancestors and guides and angels after seeing the things that they've done for me, and, you know, the protection and people who are no longer here because they sent the wrong energies, you know, it's very easy for me to be humble. One thing I will say is that a lot of people, they pray for visitation from Jesus or angels, and I'm just going to share with you right now why I believe that doesn't always happen when you ask. As amazing as the experiences that I've had are, what people don't realize is that when you have an experience, let's say you're praying for Jesus to come visit you and he does, guess what's going to happen? Your job is going to be completely insignificant overnight. Your life's going to completely change, and individuals that are currently in your life will become no longer in your life, and you'll struggle to find motivation because you'll experience love that you didn't even know existed, and you'll start to question why you would ever leave that to come to a vibration like this one. There's so many side effects, I want to say, to having angelic visitations. It just makes you lose motivation, and it's kind of hard to blend in and have common conversations with individuals. But when it comes to being humble, you know, that just comes easy to me. Over 63,000 followers on TikTok, greatly appreciated. Love to see you over at YouTube at Saved by an Angel. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Instagram, Ash Sam 888. That's all I got. Smash a like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.